All right, what's up? What's up? All right, wanted to talk about also Cole Anthony here and just a few of the other guards in this class. Obviously, a guard heavy class. Cole, somebody who started number one for me in the preseason, and has dropped somewhat. But I think people have talked about this, and just this North Carolina team has not been good. If you watch him in that Michigan game, whenever Cole went to the bench, Michigan absolutely demolished them, and Cole kind of had to really carry the team on his back, and his plus minus in the entire season is like insane, like plus 30 or something like that per 100 possessions. And we saw them, of course, lose to Wofford. Wofford was a very good team last year, but they lost their two best players by far, Fletcher McGee and Cameron Jackson, to graduation. So, they're pretty like regular mid-major, like pretty average overall Division One team. And to beat North Carolina, that shows you how big of an impact that Cole Anthony loss is to this team and how uh, just not very good this team is right now, just to be straightforward and blunt. Armando Bacot has had a decent season as a freshman, about what I expected, but otherwise, Leaky Black, Christian Keeling, have all disappointed. Brandon Robinson hasn't been very good. I was never very high on Garrison Brooks or on Justin Pierce and guys like that. Really not a lot of talent on this team outside of Cole and maybe Baycott, who I don't really see as an NBA player, to be honest. But maybe down the line he develops certain skills that could help him get in that conversation. But yeah, one criticism I've seen with Cole is his inefficiency, and I think people have also pointed out kind of the counter argument to that, which is the lack of spacing on this team. Excuse me, kind of got a cold. Really sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, people have pointed out that his inefficiency again is due to that really heavy burden he has to carry for this team. But I thought there is definitely some merit to that, where his kind of lack of size, and in particular, not even like his height per se, but he doesn't have very long arms, and you see that a lot of times because he's a guy who likes to get in the paint and kind of load off 2 feet, and then kind of get a high in the air and change. Kind of the set point of his release on his finishes around the basket. Kind of use his body once he gets in the air to bully defenders. He's such a strong guard for a smaller guy. Very, very strong. So he'll, like, again, get in the paint, load off two, get high in the air, and kind of use his body to bully whoever comes over to help on him, and kind of change his the set point of his shot, like up and unders and so forth. But because of that lack of length and lack of size to some extent as well, he's kind of not able to get these more kind of extension finishes and, kind of finish over the top of the defense. And, in the high school level, obviously, the size differential was smaller. And here at the college level, against bigger guys, seeing him against the John Teskey type, that that's kind of that size kind of has bothered him a lot. So because of that, that's kind of been the one thing that's been disappointing about him, and the main thing that's kind of made me drop him on my board relative, to him being number one in the preseason, of course. I still probably end up with him in the top five, but right now he's 3 out of 13 at the rim, out of pick and roll, ISO, and spot up. So in half court kind of self creation situations, just 3 out of 13 on the rim of the season. And again, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier in the video, but just really quick, another guy who's kind of older for the freshman class. So once again, similar to Matthew Hurt that I talked about in the previous video, older guy kind of not living up to the expectations. Perhaps using his maturity and age to dominate at the high school and AU levels. So that's definitely part